Hey there, Red Devil Nation. Welcome back for another Alumni Spotlight. Today we are honored to have 2017 women's basketball alum Mary Martin with us. Mary, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's quite an honor to even be thought of in this respect.
So before we dive into your time here at Dickinson, just tell us a little bit about who you are, where you grew up, and how you got into playing basketball.
Sure. So I come from a really small town in Pennsylvania called Honesdale. I started playing basketball, I think, in the second grade. I was at the YMCA playing a bunch of other sports, soccer, floor hockey, and then basketball was the one that kind of stuck. So I had a lot of other girls my age who were really into basketball too. So we had great parents come together and make sure that we got to do all of these experiences and get tons of practice at a young age. And that carried through elementary, middle school, high school. At which point I was looking at colleges and I had never even heard of Dickinson, but my AAU basketball coach had, and she thought Dickinson would be a really great fit for me. So we did a tournament at Dickinson, and that's when Coach Henry came and talked to me and said I should apply. She thought it'd be a great fit, and it was, and that's where I ended up.
You came here because you're AAU coach, and it seems to be a common theme in doing these spotlights that Dickinson was not the first school on everyone's radar, or it had not been heard of. What attracted you to the campus when you first stepped foot on there, and what made you really fall in love with the school and the program?
First, it was just a beautiful campus. We were there towards the end of the summer, so that's when I think campus is at its best, either that or in the fall. So it really just on pure visual respects was beautiful. And then the coach, Dina Henry, really made me feel at home. I only was under her for 1 year before she left, but in that time in recruiting me, she made me feel like I would have somebody there who genuinely cared about me and could help me grow as a person. So between the campus, obviously it's such a great school too, and then Coach Henry really is what got me there.
You go through a coaching change. Talk to us about that and how you come to play for one coach and almost immediately you end up playing for another coach.
That was difficult as a team, and we were also very young. My freshman year, we were starting 4 freshmen and a sophomore. But with being young comes being super resilient. So we were able to pick up with the new coach, not seamlessly, but it was easier than I thought it was going to be. So I think the most valuable lesson there was just sticking together as a team and realizing, coaches come in, coaches go, new assistant coaches, new school administration while we were there. So we dealt with many huge changes, but the thing that stayed was our team and our good team culture that we'd started building throughout the years.
What were the lessons that you learned during that time there? Because as you said, you went through an interesting time here at Dickinson where there was not just a coaching change, an administration change, a change in athletic directors, a change in presidents, et cetera. What were the lessons that you think you were able to learn from that experience and take with you even into your postgraduate career?
Well, one of the lessons for the whole team was definitely a focus on our core team culture. Which was kind of on the rocks in the very beginning. We didn't have any seniors. So with the new coaches, it was really just on us, quite young students, to try to figure out how to best mesh together. Me personally, it helped me, or a lesson that I had to learn was how to be a leader no matter what the circumstances were. Normally, you would have a coach who you can go to, confide in, and they can help push you be a better leader. But in this case, in those few months when we didn't know who the coach was going to be, we still need to be practicing and keeping in shape, and doing all the things to prepare for the next season. So that said, it kind of pushed onto me and some of the other leaders on the team to hold each other accountable. So that was definitely a lesson that I don't think I would have gotten had a coach stayed all 4 years.
And what do you think you discovered about the team culture, and how did you guys keep those relationships going? As you said, one coach leaves, another coach comes in, but the one constant was the team. How did you guys continue to build that team chemistry during those what can be a trying time?
I think having a common goal was really important. We all each individually wanted to get better. Like I said, we were a pretty young team, so there was tons of room for improvement each individually. But then also, as you get better as a player and your teammates get better, you start to be able to do things as a team that you couldn't do before, and you gain more confidence. So anyway, just having that common goal of getting better so we can win games, no matter who the coach is. We each wanted to win games. But then also another goal of having fun. It's hard to have a coach leave after 1 year. It's hard to get a new coach. So if you can make it fun and remember why you're actually playing basketball, I think that carries a long way.
You know, that goal of winning games, and you guys started to win games towards the end of your career here. You really started to rebuild that Dickinson women's basketball program. Talk about that and talk about the successes that you got to start seeing on the court prior to your time being completed as a student athlete.
So I feel like things really turned around after our sophomore year. I suppose at the beginning of my junior year, we started clicking as a team. We were finally old enough and mature enough players to have real confidence and have experience carrying us to win these closer games. I also think Coach Bixby was really hitting her stride that year. She was coaching us very well, using us to the best of our abilities. And so obviously it just became really fun when you're winning games and you finally have a taste of winning. And then you get to playoffs. And then, so even though we didn't win the conference that year, by the time we came back for the following year, it gave us a newfound energy. Like, we were so close last year, we can do it this time.
Taking a turn a little bit off the court to the student side of it, tell us a little bit about your time here as a student, what you majored in, and how you maybe found your passion for now what your career will be in the field of law.
So when I came into college, I thought I would go to med school after. I was doing all my science classes, liking them just fine. But I took this one first year, whatever we called the first year grouping course that you had to do. It was a medical debate class, and I ended up really liking the debate part more than the medicine part. So that switched my mindset to doing political science. And so I majored in political science, but I really had a very holistic learning experience because the political science degree doesn't require too many specific things. You get into all different realms of the history, economics. There are so many classes you can take that fall into the major. And being a political science major, and then I knew I wanted to go to law school by maybe sophomore year. So that's what I did.
And you talked about how you kind of got this holistic feel while you were in a political science major, and that's something unique to a liberal arts school. Talk about that value of now a liberal arts education and how it has helped you progressing into law school and how it really helped you find your stride here.
So maybe when I was there and right after, I did not appreciate the liberal arts education as much as I do right now. I think the last year has shown us more than anything how important it is to be a well-rounded person and have different perspectives. Even if they disagree with yours, you need to understand where other people are coming from. So like I said, having the opportunity to take tons of different classes in all different disciplines gives me now an outlook that is kind of all-encompassing, which I also think really helped me through law school, because in law school, there is really never a right answer. You have to be able to see both sides of the case. You need to be able to answer both arguments. So anyway, being introduced in college to this idea that there are tons of different opinions, and you just need to think critically. It really helped me think critically about our different kinds of arguments.
Tell us a little bit about as well how you found your path towards law school. Was that something that you talked to advisors about? Was that through the alumni network that maybe helped guide you a little bit in that way? My
path is a little different. Both my parents are attorneys and my 3 older siblings are. So law school was nothing new for my family. It was once I decided that that's what I wanted to do. I didn't really need too much help in the process. Where I didn't really need too much help on deciding whether or not to go. That wasn't an issue. But when it came down to getting resumes ready, letters of recommendation, the career service was awesome for resume help. As far as letters of recommendation, Coach Bixby was huge in helping me. But my favorite professor Professor O'Connell. He just got his tenure this year, and he really sat down with me and went through the pros and cons. Even though I already decided I was going, he went through every pro and con he could see about me going for further education. He is a political science professor, but he also focuses on economics, and he kind of broke down earning capacities, like what schools need this score on the LSAT. And anyway, he went above and beyond in helping me make the best decision for what school to go to. And he also wrote me an amazing letter of recommendation that the dean of admissions at my law school discussed in his acceptance letter. So that was really just awesome of him to help me that way.
That's really incredible that he was able to do that. And I think that's also something unique to Dickinson, and you can maybe touch on it a little bit, is because it's such a small school and it's such a close-knit community, you're able to build those relationships, not just with your fellow students and your teammates, but the professors. If it's a bigger school, do you think maybe that relationship isn't as in-depth with Professor O'Connell as it was here?
Undoubtedly. I met Professor O'Connell at the end of my first year, and he, from that moment forward, he was a staple in my everyday. And he ended up being my advisor at the end of the year, which Dickinson does a great job of linking you up with different mentors. But yeah, when you only have 12 to 25 kids in a class, you get the attention that you need to push yourself, which you really can't slack off. If there's reading due for that day, you need to do it. You need to be on top of it because you will get called on, or at least they expect you to participate. And that goes to the classmates I've had too. You're in an atmosphere where everyone wants to learn and better themselves, which really pushes you in a small classroom to also better yourself. It's odd if someone's slacking off there.
I remember my freshman year taking an intro to microeconomics class in what would end up being my minor, but texting one of my best friends from high school, asking how his first day of class went. And he said, "Oh, I'm taking this intro to microeconomics class." I said, "Oh, that's cool. How many kids are in your class?" And he went to Penn State. He said, "I have 250. I said, "I have 25.
Yeah.
There's
no way your professor is going to know your name in that class.
No, he said he probably didn't have to show up for the entire semester. And was jokingly saying that. He's like, "If I don't show up, they'll never know." I said, "If I don't show up, it's pretty obvious." Yeah.
And also having not just having small classes, but having really great professors who have helped me a ton. I had a professor who was a local district judge, and so I took 2 classes with him, and he gave me such a good perspective from a judge's point of view on the legal field, and he was able to help prep me for law school before I even went, which is pretty unheard of because law school is like nothing else, but to have professors that have done it and really set me up for success.
Maybe you can just touch on that a little bit for us and just explain how you got connected with him and how he helped prepare you for your eventual trip to law school.
I was connected with him through the class. He was an adjunct professor for 2 classes. I think one of them was criminal law, and he taught it. He said on the first day, "I'm going to teach this just like a law school class would be taught," which is using the Socratic method where the professor walks in and just starts asking you the questions rather than a lecture series where he'd stand and teach. It's more conversational, and he really pushes you to think through your answers and why they might be right but might be wrong. So anyway, I enjoyed that class so much. He would bring us to the courthouse to do a mock trial kind of thing, and he'd give each of us a role in it to be attorneys or witnesses. So yeah, he just did a really great job further introducing me to the legal field. And then by the time I got to law school, I was no stranger to, obviously it was much harder, but no stranger to the idea of how it goes on.
Talk about why you are involved with the Friends of Dickinson basketball and why you feel like it's important for alumni to give back to this current crop of student athletes here at Dickinson.
I was thrilled when some of the men from the board of Friends of Dickinson basketball reached out to me to be on the board, especially for female athletes at a Division III level. It is so important that we come together and make these systems for each other. These kind of things aren't just given to us as far as networks. So when women can come together and build networks to help each other climb over these hurdles, climb up these ladders, I think that's when we can really start helping each other advance in the workplace. So for instance, when I was at Dickinson, I didn't really have any alums that I could speak to about law school or a legal career in different areas. And I wish that I had. And now that I'm in a position and the other women on the board are in a position to help, it's just so important for us to give this lifeline to students. And even if we can't help them get a job or an internship, at the very least making contacts, and maybe we know someone in that field that can help them. So we all just think it's so important to get this network up off the ground, and we're beyond excited to be a part of this board. And I can't say enough about the men who invited us onto the board and made it their mission to help the women's program. That was just above and beyond, and rightfully so, it was necessary. So we're just so happy to be a part of it and very happy they invited us on.
Yeah, it's really great that you guys have been able to join forces and give back to this current group. How has it also maybe even just helped you make those connections with the men's alumni who, if it wasn't for this, you might have never met or not even known of?
First, it just gives me a stronger sense of community and life after Dickinson. You know, when you graduate, you have your core group of friends and people that you've known, maybe some alums from your program that you knew, but to actually be connected with them and having monthly phone calls, planning different events, getting back for alumni weekend, it multiplied our community at least by 2. And bringing the 2 programs together, it's just a lot of fun, especially as I get older and another year out and there's more athletes coming into the Alum Association under me. It's really fun to experience this version of Dickinson with them.
Why are you, and you touched on it in that last answer, but why are you proud to be a Dickinson alum?
To be honest, there are a lot of reasons to be proud, and this interview is helping me reflect on them. But my biggest reason is probably just having this community that sticks with you, especially with playing basketball. It has opened so many doors for me. But Dickinson has given me every tool I ever needed to succeed in law school and after. It gave me that academic discipline. It gave me the skills to speak with people about tough topics. So I'm most proud for just how it made me a more well-rounded person.
What gave you so much pride in wearing the red and still wearing the red as a representative of that Friends of Basketball group and giving back, you know, working with the alumni networks? What burned that fire every day to wear a Dickinson uniform? And why are you proud to have done that?
Honestly, my teammates would be the biggest reason. That's what kept me so true to practicing every day and trying to get better. Like I said in the beginning, my teammates, we really worked together through this whole 4 years, through all these different coaches. And if you can do that with a group of people who you genuinely care about, you know, as siblings, that just binds you together to the point where wearing that name on your shirt together is super powerful.
And the last question for you, before we close, is when we can play basketball again and Coach Hayes and that team take the court, what is your prediction for this year's women's basketball program?
Oh, all the way. Easy. As soon as we're allowed to start playing again, they'll run all the way.
Love it. Well, Mary, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and to share your experience and give us an inside look to your time at Dickinson and beyond.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. We look forward to seeing you back on campus, and we look forward to sharing this story with the Dickinson community as a whole.
Awesome. Can't wait.